hell of a, she's so fine. Hell of a, blows my mind. Hell of a, lights my day.
What's good, guys? I just had to bring this story some attention because it needs it desperately. This is a story that is coming out of Harvey, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. It has some similarities to the Kenneka Jenkins case in that the young lady went to the party, and that was the last time her family saw her. And they're reaching out to everyone. And it also shares the similarity of the Harvey Police Department being quite similar to the Rosemont Police Department. So I'm going to go ahead and crack this open. I am a bit embarrassed that I let this case slide by me. I don't know how it did. Only to say that the family are complaining that that case hasn't gotten the attention that it needs. So I can kind of see where I might have missed it, but we're going to get it now. This is out of CBS Chicago. Family wants justice after young mother's body is found dumped in Harvey. Now, this article is from September 22nd, 2020. It says, Ryan Chanel Reed told her father she would be back later one night to pick up her 10-year-old daughter in Hazelcrest, but the young mother never returned. Her body was discovered just a few hours later in nearby Harvey. On Monday night, the woman's family told CBS 2's Jermont Terry they want justice. Meanwhile, police are stumped how the woman got where her body was found. Although more than a week has passed, it feels like time has frozen for Anthony Reed. Quote, I just went to the truth, end quote, he said. Mr. Reed is searching for answers into the murder of his only daughter, Ryan Chanel. Someone shot the nursing student and then dumped her body in Harvey. Quote, it was always told to her not to go in Harvey, end quote, Mr. Reed said. But somehow, the 30-year-old ended up on the side of the road near some abandoned apartments off 154th Street and Hoyne Avenue. Back on Friday, September the 11th, Ryan Chanel Reed dropped her daughter off to her parents' house before going to a party. Quote, that's one of the things I used to always ask her, is if you're going somewhere, at least let me know where you're going, Reed said. But this particular day, I did not even ask her, and when she left at 9 o'clock, that was the last time we saw her, end quote. Mr. Reed called and texted, but didn't get an answer all night. And then a chilling call came to the house the next day. Quote, right around 12 o'clock, we get a call from police informing us to come to the police station, end quote, he said. The father's heart aches for his loss, but especially for his granddaughter's pain. Quote, she was just a beautiful young lady trying to raise her daughter, and now my wife and I are taking care of the daughter, end quote, Mr. Reed said. Now there is a huge void for the entire family as Harvey police work to try to find out who targeted Ryan Chanel Reed and, more importantly, why. The family is offering a $5,000 reward, hoping it will provide the key evidence detectives need to make an arrest. Quote, get this murderer off the street before he does it again to somebody else, end quote, Mr. Reed said. Alright, so basically, the gist of this story is that Ryan Chanel Reed was a nursing student who also worked in the medical supply field and had a 10-year-old daughter named Akira. And she was 30 years old. And on the weekends, what she would do is take her daughter and they would go to her parents' house, who had been married for 30 plus years. And they would just kind of chill at her parents' house on the weekends. So that's what she did on this weekend, this particular weekend. But when she got there, she wanted to go to a party. And then she never came back. She went to this party. She left at 9 o'clock from her parents' house. And 30 minutes later, just 30 minutes later, her dad called her and there was no answer. He went off to sleep, and little did he know that his wife had been calling all night. So when he got up the next morning, she said, I haven't been able to get a hold of her all night. They knew something was wrong. And then that's when the police called them and said, come to the station. Let me find this other article. This article is from WGN9, and it has a little bit more detail to it. Let's see. A father is asking for help finding out who shot his daughter and left her for dead on the street in Harvey last week. The night of Friday, September the 11th, someone reported a woman lying in the street at 154th and Hoyne, and when officers arrived, they found Ryan Reed, 30, shot and killed, Harvey police said. Quote, that was my princess, said Ryan's dad, Anthony Reed. Reed said Ryan brought her 10-year-old daughter to his house that night and left for a party around 9 p.m. He said he called 30 minutes later to check in. Quote, I just wanted to know where was the party and different things like that, but she didn't answer, end quote, he said. He said he didn't think much of it until the next morning when his wife told him Ryan wasn't answering for her either. Quote, she's been calling my daughter all night and she couldn't get a hold of her, end quote, he said. Then police called. Quote, they said she was shot twice, end quote, Reed said. Reed said his daughter was a jokester. She took after him. Quote, boy, I really wish I knew who would do that to her because she wouldn't hurt a fly. And I'm just not sure why somebody would actually kill her, end quote, Reed said. He said he doesn't know who she was with that night. He's hoping someone comes forward with information so he can get justice for his daughter and the rest of the family. Quote, my granddaughter, she cries herself to sleep every night. My wife is a total basket case. She can't really get out of bed anymore, end quote, he said. He said he's trying to stay strong for them as he and his wife raise their granddaughter. Quote, I have to be there for her, and if I break down, what's going to happen to her, Reed said. There's a video with this, so we're going to watch the video. Here we go.
It's hard to take a look at these pictures. I mean, it really is hard.
Anthony Reed always looked forward to the weekends when his daughter Ryan would bring her daughter home to Hazel Crest to spend time together as a family.
And that was my princess. I mean, everything.
It was their routine, and it's what he says Ryan did a week ago.
And she says she was going to a party.
Anthony says she left the house around 9 Friday night, and he called 30 minutes later to check in.
And I just wanted to know, where was the party and different things like that. But she didn't answer.
He says he didn't think much of it until the next morning when his wife told him Ryan wasn't answering for her either.
That she's been calling my daughter all night, and she couldn't get a hold of her.
Then police called.
They said she was shot twice.
Harvey police tell us someone reported a woman lying on the ground at 154th and Hoyne, and when officers arrived, they found Ryan shot. She died there at the scene.
Boy, I really wish I knew who would do that to her because, I mean, she wouldn't hurt a fly. And I'm just not sure why somebody would actually, kill her.
Anthony is asking for help, for information, so he can get justice for his daughter and for the rest of his family.
My granddaughter, she cries herself to sleep every night. My wife is a total basket case. She can't really get out of bed anymore.
He says he's trying to stay strong for them.
For me, I'm trying my best to look at the future, for my granddaughter because I have to be there for her. And if I break down, what's going to happen, to her.
Earlier this week, Harvey police told us they are investigating. We've been following up, asking for updates in this case, and so far have not heard back. We're live in Harvey. I'm Jenna Barnes, WGN News.
Jenna, thank you.
Now, they've since upped this reward to $16,000. This is from the Crusader newspaper, and this is dated September the 28th, 2020. This is a picture of Ryan Chanel Reed. Beautiful young lady. This article is wrote by Evelyn Holmes of ABC 7 News. Not sure if that's any relation to who we're about to speak about. Yes, you know it's coming. Okay, let's get to it. says the family of a mother found shot dead in Harvey 2 weeks ago is offering a reward for information on her murder. Quote, I'm just so upset and choked up that somebody would actually do that to her, end quote, said Anthony Reed father. Goes on to say she was found on the evening of September the 11th after someone called the police about a woman lying in the street near 154th and Hoyne Avenue. I mean, this person didn't even have the decency to pick her up off the street. That's disgusting to me. It makes me seriously wonder if there's a serial killer in Chicago. I mean, for real, like, I'm not even kidding. Quote, she had hundreds and hundreds of friends and always smiling and laughing, end quote, her father said. Quote, never had anything bad to say about nobody, but somebody decided to take her life, end quote. It's been 2 weeks since the murder, and the family said they've barely heard anything from investigators. Frustrated, Anthony Reed canvassed the neighborhood for information and, with the help of community activist Andrew Holmes, is now offering a $16,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person responsible for the crime. And this is a post from legal help firm. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, from Facebook. But they feature a lot of stuff. And the post says, young woman killed, Ryan Chanel Reed, 30, was shot and killed in the 15,000 block of Hoyne, Harvey, Illinois on September the 11th, 2020. Seen/heard anything, contact Harvey Police or tips.fbi.gov. Our condolences. Hashtag legal help firm cares. Now this is where it gets interesting. Quote, the individual knew the area, Holmes said. Andrew Holmes. They knew it was abandoned homes and buildings on this street with no lights and dark, end quote. Ryan Reed was a nursing student who had been recently laid off from her job at a medical supply company. Anthony Reed said on September the 11th, she brought her 10-year-old daughter over to his house and left for a party around 9 p.m. He said he called his daughter back about a half hour later just to check in, but could not get a hold of her. Quote, I'm not exactly sure who she was with. I really would like to know who picked her up. That is the key to this whole thing, end quote, he said. Anthony said he didn't become alarmed until later when his wife said Ryan hadn't responded to any of her calls or texts all night. Quote, I'm missing her so much, he said. I'm standing here shaking, end quote. If you have any information about Ryan Reed's murder, contact the Harvey Police Department. Now, there's been a GoFundMe set up, support for Ryan's family in their time of anguish. With a goal of $10,000, it's reached $325. I'll put the link in the description box just in case anyone wants to go look at it. It was started by Stacy Brazil 6 days ago. And it says, on the night of September the 11th, 2020, 30-year-old mother Ryan Chanel Reed was murdered. Her killer or killers not only took her life, but they also destroyed the lives of her loved ones forever. Ryan was the most beautiful, talented, crafty, funny, vibrant, and intelligent young woman I've ever known. She loved her family and friends so much, and she could light up a room just by walking in it. To know her was to love her, and I still can't comprehend why anyone would want to do such a cold, calculated, and cruel thing to such a beautiful person. And there are some images of hers. They've also tagged an article, which I believe we've already looked at. So, I'm going to end this video here. But I'm going to continue to dig into this case, because this case needs some attention. Thanks, guys, for watching. I appreciate it.